The banks are tightening. You aren't making as much money on your new cars or even your pre-owned cars. So we give you the opportunity to sell a service contract.
If you're not going to sell them a contract, somebody will afterwards.
Someone is.
Identify what your first service appointment process is. If the sales team is not getting involved or the F&I manager is not getting involved at that point, or at least grabbing them a coffee and sitting down and just talking to them.
Offer it every time to your consumer.
Welcome to the Shift into Profit podcast, where leaders come to evolve, teams come to improve, and dealerships come to grow. Every episode delivers the insights you need to transform your people and maximize your performance. Let's shift your store into a new level of profit.
Hey, what's going on, Automotive Nation? It is Jason Harris here, and thank you for joining me on another episode of Shift into Profit, where, well, I get to talk to anybody and everybody I want to talk to when it comes to what it takes to shift our business into a more profitable state. And I got a really cool guest with me. I have Brenda with me. Brenda, how are you doing today?
I'm fabulous. I mean, we're in Vegas.
We're Vegas.
Anything else?
I know, Vegas. We're in a
I don't know. We're
high
talking
roller suite.
now.
We are. Brenda, thanks for taking the time to jam with me today. I love kicking off our podcast with a little origin story. So for everybody out there that don't know who you are and what you do, I love kicking off a little origin story because I'm always fundamentally fascinated in how in the world people got into the automotive business. I don't think anybody just wakes up one day and goes, yeah, that's where I'm going to go spend all my time. So Brenda, How in the world did you get started in this crazy little world we call the automotive industry, and how are you currently servicing the business?
Well, I started at a dealership when I was really needed a job and kind of enjoyed it. Went on from there to being very much a car person. I could tell you every make and model on the road. And then I went on to utilize service contracts and the need for them in a home and a car. Mm-hmm. And so then I went on to work for an administrator. And after 13 years there, this industry popped in, and I'm able to finance the service contracts for those that don't want to pay for it through the term.
Yes.
Or they need it. They can't fit it in the back end. So they put it on the front end. Mm-hmm. We offer them options for that. And it's just always been, my thing. I love cars, and I think it's so necessary to protect them.
I think it's a really cool and interesting offering of what you guys are doing for dealers. I'm curious though, like, what was the aha moment for you? What was the moment where it's like, okay, you guys looked at the industry. Obviously, you're like, hey, this is missing, or it can be done better. What was that conversation? How did that happen for you?
Well, it comes to, you can do a 0% financing on things, and it's restricted to how long you can do it. So we saw a need to allow them to pay over a longer time. Mm-hmm. And having said that, to help those build credit and help their credit. So we went into the simple interest loan business. So we are a bank and operate as such as we finance those service contracts.
I mean, that's wildly beneficial for the customer, but also for the dealer. I mean, it really helps the experience when you get to that stage. Because trust me, as a dealer, and you guys, I've talked about this on the show many times, where you get to that stage and you've done everything you can, but at the end of the day, there's only so much that the banks are going to do. And even right now, things are just getting tighter.
Correct.
And, when I had my dealership, I would have loved to have another alternative to being able to service this customer. I mean, guys, we've talked about this many times in other podcasts. You know that, hey, if we can get that customer to buy a contract from us or, service at our dealership, the probability of them continuing to do business with us exponentially goes
right
up.
I mean, that's the thing. Everyone's trying to get the customer. Everyone is trying to sell a VSC out there. And you want retention.
Yes.
I mean, a dealer, that's such an important thing, is the retention. And by utilizing the service contract and, their car breaks down, who are they going to call? Mm-hmm. Where are they going to roll it into? Where are they going to have it towed to? Your dealership, of course. And with that, customer for life.
Well, I think most dealers do think that is what the customer thinks. But I think for a lot of us, especially on the service side, I don't think we think of our competition a lot as dealers, and we think about, maybe if I'm a Nissan dealer, if you're out there watching and listening, you're a Nissan dealer, you're thinking maybe the other Nissan dealership down the road or on the other side of town from you. But when it comes from the servicing side of the vehicle, I saw this recently. NADA put the stat out that it was, the average dealership has 16 non-franchise entities going after that customer. So, we think we have a lot of competition on that side, but it's really on that service side. If we don't get that contract from them, there are 16 other businesses that will gladly take the servicing of that vehicle.
Take it very quick.
They will
Very quick.
They will do it very quick.
Yeah, everyone.
So, now, tell me a little bit where you guys are located. Who are you guys kind of servicing right now? I'm just generally
Sure.
interested.
So our headquarters is in Naples, Florida.
Beautiful, by the way.
Nice place to visit. But our accounting team is really all that's there in office, and we're a completely remote company. We're up to getting closer to 100 employees.
Wow.
And in 13 years, and 2 years was just development. But our clients are the dealerships and also the agents that represent the administrators. The administrators are our client. And in the end, the consumer, because we're going to collect payments from them. Right. So it's all the way. But our dealers are so important to us. Agents are so important. And the administrator as well. It's a well-oiled machine.
Well, and I just love having this alternative. I can't tell you how many times, even as an F&I manager, back when I was an F&I manager, now granted, this was well over a decade ago. I know you guys all think I'm a spring chicken out there, but I'm not.
Me too.
But I mean, I'd work this deal and I would create this amazing rapport with the customer. I'd figure out their needs, understand that, hey, this is a contract I'm going to make 100% from, submit it to the bank only to find out that I could get this much and not a penny more from them. Right. And I'd just be sitting there going, what am I going to do? There just wasn't an option. So you guys have been at this now for 13 years?
13 years.
13 years.
With the simple interest loan, which is really helps the consumer and helps the finance manager finalize the deal. And we work with franchise dealers and independent dealers and RV dealers and power sports dealer and marine. So we're from A to Z. Do a lot of conferences throughout the year. But automotive has always been my love.
Okay, I got to ask you, what was your first experience in a dealership and how did that go over for you?
Let me see, my first experience at a dealership. Mm-hmm. I was buying my first new car.
And what was it? I got to know.
Well, it was, I had a bad streak of accidents. I mean, you're bringing it all up now. So I was told that I had to buy a car with an airbag. And this was in the 90s, early 90s. And I'm aging myself now. Thank you very much. And the Dodge Shadow is the only car that I could buy new with an airbag because things were getting tough for me in car accidents. Not my fault. Let me just clarify.
No, we'll just make that so you guys know. It wasn't
not my fault. Well, a few of them, but otherwise. So, that experience at the dealership, I didn't know I was going to be sales. Thought I was going to be a school teacher, but I really beat them down.
Did you really give them
I did. I apparently gave them real hell. The F&I I was with the salesperson, and then a manager came, and then the sales manager came, and then in the end, the owner came.
Oh, you got all the way to the owner.
Even the owner came down, and once I came down to the final price, I demanded they throw in the floor mats, and I won that one too. So when I graduated,
did you get the cassette player?
I don't remember. I'm sure it was at that point in our lives, my life. But from there, I graduated college with my teaching degree, and they wanted me to come all the way out to Las Vegas, and that scared a 20-year-old from the Midwest. So then I called Bob, Expressway Dodge, Evansville, Indiana. Still one of the biggest.
Is this the dealership you originally bought the car? Oh my gosh, no way.
This is. Okay, and so I said, Bob, I don't know if you remember me. He says, oh boy, I remember you.
We all remember that one, right? I know you guys do.
I was his one. He still probably remembers me. But I said, I need a job, and explained the situation. So he made me assistant to the comptroller, or the controller. and which put me in a little square box of an office. I
Yep.
think maybe it was probably a linen closet at some point, and I was inputting the deals. So I quickly ran.
You learn a lot. You learn a lot.
I did learn a lot, more than I really thought, but I was more of a wing woman for
Mhm.
all the male salesmen because women weren't there yet. So I would help them buy those new Dodge Ram trucks.
Nice.
Of course, they were still Dodge Rams
Yep.
at that point, again, aging myself. But, I fell in love with that industry.
It's a fun business.
And then I just got into the service contract business for home. And then from there, I got to know the automotive just because I never stop learning.
Sure.
It's always fun. And then it just morphed into this. So
You got bit by the bug. No, trust me, I understand this.
I couldn't imagine doing anything else.
Once it gets in and under your skin, good luck getting it out. I've tried twice.
Yeah.
And it was like maybe like for 2 or 3 months, and it's like that episode from the Godfather. It just sucks you right back in.
It
you
does.
Come back into
It
the
does.
business.
I've witnessed it through being at so many of these types, seeing the same people over and over, and I'm like, man, when I get to that age, I want to retire. I want to be retired. And then now it's like, oh, geez.
Well, it's funny you say that. I always joke, and I know you guys out there watching, listening, I say this all the time. When I do retire, I'm going to do dealer trades. I've decided I don't care how well off I am or where I am. I'm
Right.
just going to putt around from dealership to dealership, just driving the vehicles back and forth. I'm going to do dealer trades. Or maybe I'll do shuttle. Anyways, now you guys have had the opportunity to work with thousands of dealerships. You guys have
Correct.
seen the good, the bad, the ugly. I'm not just talking about the amazing movie, The Clint Eastwood, but you guys have seen dealers of all kinds, all different kinds of operators. I'm sure, like me, you see patterns, and patterns that make the good operators versus great operators. And I'm just kind of curious, in your perspective, the podcast is all about what we got to do to shift into profit.
Mm-hmm.
From a pattern perspective, what are you seeing some of the best operators do right now to just better their business?
Well, they offer the products every single time. We kind of have.
You mean they don't do that now? You mean my F&I manager tells me that? And that's
Well, I don't know. Have you
I'm
met a
just-
dealer recently that still handwrites the contracts?
Yes,
we have a way. We still have a ways to go in the industry, but and at Line 5, we are technology.
Yeah.
We're almost as much of a technology company as we are the payment plan business. But a misnomer out there is like, oh, my clientele is affluent, they
Sure.
don't need you. But a lot of our
which I think
business-
is totally wrong.
it is
By
totally
the way,
wrong.
I have a thesis on why I think it's wrong, because I was actually we were just talking about this earlier, because I was buying a new set of golf clubs. And when I think about people golf, they're not like, you have a disposable income because you spend money on stupid stuff. I'm always like, well, I got to get the new $700 driver because it's going to get like 3 extra yards on my drive.
Yes.
No, it's not. But anyways,
Yes.
but it blows my mind. Every single one of those companies offer a payment solution
Mm-hmm.
on. So it doesn't. I actually think I think they do more because people understand that. Anyways, I digress. Continue with your story.
Well, yeah, it's you have we do simple interest loans, and it's from 8.9 to 19.9.
Sure.
There's others out there, and what you're talking about as well. You buy, something at Best Buy, and they're like, well, would you want 0% financing, or would you want this or that? And with the simple interest loan, a Mercedes owner will be offered the service contract, and he's using his credit union check,
Yes,
or
of course.
out of his investment account.
They say it's a cash deal.
And it's
They
they
say
call it a
it's-
cash
yep.
deal, but those cash deals still need product.
That's right.
I have witnessed a $10,000 repair on a Mercedes for one little thing.
Yep.
I myself drive an Audi, and I've, thank goodness, had service contracts because I believe, and thank goodness that there was a lot of things paid for,
Yeah.
and will continue to be paid for. But every vehicle needs a service contract today. In today's market, the banks are tightening.
Sure.
Transparency at the dealership. You aren't making as much money on your new cars, or even your pre-owned cars. So we give you the opportunity
Mhm.
to sell a service contract. And if they don't want to pay the entire life of the service or of your auto loan, you can utilize us and pay it off in 4 years or 3
Sure.
years or whatever you want. No prepayment penalty, pay it off, no extra fees. So maybe, oh, well, I'm going to write the check this month, but I'll just pay that off next month for those affluent ones. Why not? Why not use someone else's money? They could throw it on a credit card, and that's going to be what at this point, 19 to 30%, right?
Minimum, yes.
So, our if you got a 750 credit score, you're going to get 8.99%. That's nothing if you're going to compare it to the 19.9.
Yes. Well, and look, I understand you guys. We've talked about this on many other podcasts before. One of the biggest concerns customers have right now is affordability, right? I mean, look, payments have never been higher. Like just the cost of a vehicle, and I hear this all the time. Like, oh, well, they're just so payment and affordable conscious. That's why they didn't buy it. I'm like, well, that's actually about the dumbest thing you could say, because to your point, I mean, I've owned Audis. I've had that timing chain go out, and I know exactly what those things cost.
Right.
I don't, maybe they don't do it anymore, but affordability. If I'm thinking as a customer and affordability is it, then yes, having the contract is absolutely important because it maintains affordability through the entire ownership of it. I don't run into that situation.
Well, and so many folks out there, if they have a car go down, they can't get to work.
That's true.
They could lose their jobs. Or the expense of Ubering every day until their car gets repaired.
Yep.
But you've got a really expensive car repair now that's out of pocket. I hear the stories.
I think we're too quick. And I get it. As a dealer, I've been there, I've done that. I understand that, I got to maintain volume. There's bonuses attached. There's I'm trying to get as many transactions, but I think there's just, as an industry, and I see this as a pattern of some of the best operators I work with right now, there's this kind of unnatural and candid ability to kind of be able to slow down so that I can effectively speed up.
Mm-hmm.
I wonder if you kind of see the same thing with, some great operators out there.
Yes. And we help with that. So they're going to sell them the VSC and, easily add on a key replacement and a tire and wheel. Thank goodness for tire and wheel for me in my past vehicle.
I wasn't.
It was always the husband. It wasn't me.
Okay, my wife's watching right now. She's going to kill me, but I will say, like, my last truck we leased, I don't know how within a single week, but every single wheel. Anyways, I'm sorry.
Yes,
she's going to kill me. She's watching right now.
Yes. Well, my husband won't. Thank goodness. But yeah, it's him. Anyway, the importance of the service contract, and it offers, why wouldn't you, the dealer, want to make the money versus them getting a postcard in the mail or a phone call, and taking out that service contract? You sell it at the dealership level in the service drive area, or on a slow day, the sales folks can just reach out to those customers who chose not to buy
100%.
6 months ago, 3 months ago. Maybe they've changed their mind now, and then offer them the payment plan. And
I'm glad you brought that up.
It's going to bring them,
cool.
Those customers, when the car breaks down, they're going to come back to you.
Mm-hmm.
And when they buy it online, and, why give those customers away when you could have them yourself?
No, actually, I think that's a great point. I mean, you guys, look, if you're out there watching, listening right now, if you're not going to sell them a contract, somebody will afterwards.
Someone is going to.
It's funny. I was literally just talking to a neighbor of mine who just purchased a vehicle from a dealership recently, did not buy a contract. And he's told me, like, for the last 3 months, he has got nothing but phone calls and postcards about this. And by the way, not a single one from the dealership he actually purchased the vehicle from.
And they try and act like and look like that it's from there. Yeah, it's I still get them. They buy lists. I still get them from vehicles I had years ago. It's crazy. And right now I have the spam on my phone because they're trying to sell me a service contract. So they know the year of your car.
Yes.
Yeah, so.
But it does become a loyalty thing. It really does.
It is. It's a loyalty thing. I mean, I'll go back to my dealer every time. Mm-hmm. Especially with the service contract. I trust them more than.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's
just
where
the
originally
regular old shop.
look, the longer we can keep the customer in our ecosystem.
Right.
All right. The probability, and guys, I think of this just from a marketing perspective. It blows my mind on how many dealers I work with, and they bring me in from a consulting perspective on their marketing to find out how much of those marketing dollars, and I'm talking in a lot of cases, well over 90%, is in full in acquisition mode. And then when I really look at what they did in the F&I department and what they're doing in the service department, that was the problem. If they just thought to slow down a little bit, they wouldn't have to be spending nearly as much money as they're spending in marketing and constantly having to acquire these new customers when these customers are now committed. It's crazy expensive. It's ridiculously expensive. Anyways, I digress. I know we're getting towards the tail end of our conversation, but for everybody out there watching and listening right now, and I know there's a lot of operators are going to be watching and listening to this, what are some good strategies or processes that they should be focusing on right now that can ultimately impact their business over the next 60, 90 days?
Reach out to those consumers that didn't buy. They'll recognize you as their salesman. Anyone that comes into your service drive that has a repair, if they didn't have a service contract, they can offer them right there. Your next repair most likely is going to be covered. There's, it's no acquisition cost on you. You don't even have to mail a piece of paper, and just, go after those customers, invite them in to trade in the car, buy them, sell them a new service contract. And as well, offer it every time to your consumer. Every time. I just got a call that's, my two sons just bought vehicles at a dealership.
About this. Yes.
And they didn't offer them a service contract. Can you help us? I mean, two that just weren't told about it and want it. So now they're probably not going to go back to you. They're going to go back to someone else and get a service contract for their vehicles. That's two missed opportunities
100%.
that,
Well, and guys, look, for everybody out there watching, listening, you guys know this. We've talked about this on many other podcasts in the past, right? You process your way to profitability, and you talked about two amazing processes, right? We talked about the process of after the vehicles. I'm telling you guys, I can't tell you how many warranties I sold at the first service appointment.
Right.
Okay, really take a look and identify what your first service appointment process is. If the sales team is not getting involved, or the F&I manager is not getting involved at that point, or at least grabbing them a coffee and sitting down and just talking to them about how especially after that one, because after the first service one, they're in love with the car. They've been driving it now for several months. They've probably done a couple of road trips in it. They may have already scuffed up a tire or a wheel. I mean, I'm amazed how many dealerships I talk to that don't have that type of process in place. And that is such a biggie. And I think can wildly change.
Well, the excuse is that the service managers aren't salespeople. So as the salesperson, they could always step back to the service department instead of sitting around, just chatting.
Yes.
They could go back there and offer, have you considered that service contract? Because they do know how to sell. Or, F&I typically is always busy. They're always backed up, right? Yep. But a salesman knows how to sell.
You want to hear a funny one? I actually made my F&I manager book the first service appointment.
Oh, wow.
So service didn't book it.
Cool
I made the F&I manager do it. So the F&I manager actually know how to log into the service portal and go ahead and book their next, while they're in the office.
Right.
The box.
The box.
No, we don't say that out loud. But while they're there, before they leave, I had the F&I manager do it. And that would actually, he or she would put in the Outlook calendar 15 minutes to meet with them when they came in for that appointment.
That's amazing.
It's a little thing.
It's always the little things.
Isn't it?
It's always the little things.
It's always the little things, right?
Yeah.
The little things can make really, really big difference. Hey, Brenda, before I let you go, though, for everybody out there watching and listening right now who would love to connect, learn more about what you guys are doing, because I think we've just barely scratched the surface on how you guys are servicing dealerships right now. What is the best way to connect and learn more?
Sales at Line 5, and it's LINE, the number 5.com. Mine is Brenda at line5.com. Sales goes to our, the sales team, and, as quick as someone can, they're going to get back to you because we don't believe in making people wait. We have in-house salespeople. We have out of the house salespeople. We're located all across the country. and we are rolling and excited to be here. We're a big proponent of the Agent Summit and NADA and everything else automotive. So we have industry experience from every aspect. A dealer, an agent, someone that came from an admin.
That's right, guys. If you're out there watching, listening right now, you're a dealer, you're an agent. You guys need to go to the website, check it out. Make sure that you reach out. Tell them that you saw them on the Strategy with Jason podcast, Shift into Profit. Brenda, thank you so much for taking the time to jam today. This has been an absolute blast. For everybody out there watching and listening, we appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Look, one of the biggest compliments you can give us as content creators is to share the show. All right. So if you got a manager or colleague that needs to see some portion of today's show, it means a lot to us when you share the show. Thank you guys so much for your time. You have yourselves an amazing day.
Thank you.
Thank you, Brenda. That was a lot of fun.